Hi, class. It's Dr. Lindner. Let's take a look at vitamin D production. So, what's involved in vitamin D? Now, it's called a vitamin D when we supplement it. However, the body can actually manufacture it. So, it is a hormone. So, one of the key ingredients that we need is sunlight. Okay? And we need the UVB rays. I know there's UVA and UVB. So they come down and they hit the skin, and in the skin, we have some cholesterol. I thought cholesterol was bad. No, it's essential. We need it. So there is actually subcutaneous, meaning in the skin or under the skin, we need cholesterol. So the UVB rays hit the subcutaneous cholesterol in the skin, and it makes these vitamin D precursors. And these vitamin D precursors make a pit stop in the liver. Okay. And in the liver, it's going to make more vitamin D precursors. So the first form of vitamin D that's produced by the liver is called 25 hydroxide. And this is actually what we would test on blood work. It's called 25 hydroxide to determine someone's vitamin D levels. And usually most labs will say the range is 30 to 100. And optimal is somewhere between like 55 and 60, seems to be a good optimal range. But then that form of vitamin D, the liver goes through a process called hydroxylation. So the liver hydroxylates the vitamin D and you get 25 hydroxide. Then it goes to the kidneys and the kidneys hydroxylate, and now it's called 125, 125 hydroxide, OH. And this is what's involved in maintaining calcium balance in the body, right? So what type of ingredients what do we need to make vitamin D? Well, you need sunlight, you need good healthy skin, we need cholesterol in our diet, you need a good healthy liver, and you need good healthy kidneys. Now, if this one ingredient is being diminished, like if you live in the Northeast, then that's where supplementation comes into play. So from about mid-September to mid-May, the sunlight isn't hitting us directly at like a 90-degree angle so that we can produce sufficient amount of vitamin D, and that's where supplementation comes into play. Now, if you're in a geographical state where you have sunlight all year and your arms and legs are exposed to the sunlight, you need what's called the mean erythrocytic dosage. The mean erythrocytic dosage, is the amount of time that you're in the sun in which your skin, your face just turns a little bit red. And that could be like 20 minutes for most people if they're light complexion, and maybe double the time if you're a darker complexion. Within that 20-minute period of time, you can make somewhere between 15 and 20,000 international units of vitamin D. Okay, and that's D3. That's only 15 to 20 minutes exposed to your face, your arms, and your legs. That's just not even sunbathing. That's just being roaming around in the sun. Okay, walking around having it beat on you. Anything over, if you wear sunblock, anything greater than an 8 blocks the body's ability of producing D3. So I like to be out in the sun for at least 20 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more, until that mean erythrocytic dosage. So at least I can make my vitamin D. Then I can wear a little bit of sunblock to block from any type of sunburn. Okay. And when you're supplementing it, it should be vitamin D3, with K in the formulation. Okay, and that's because vitamin D allows you to absorb calcium, but we don't want the calcium stagnated in our blood vessels. They can calcify the vasculature. So we need vitamin K, which stimulates something called matrix GLA protein. And matrix GLA protein is what helps to drive the calcium into the bone. So just taking vitamin D without calcium can increase your blood pressure because of the vascular calcification. Most nutraceutical companies will offer vitamin D with K in the formulation. You don't have to do the calculations and go, how much K do I need with that vitamin D? The good nutraceutical companies put it in the same formulation. Okay, so hopefully you see how important um, the skin is, the sunlight is, the liver. If people have a liver disease, if they have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, if they have cirrhosis of the liver, if they're a diabetic, if they're in kidney failure, right? All these things can impair different layers of producing vitamin D. And that's why we have good supplementation. Vitamin D should be checked if you live in the Northeast at least twice a year in the spring and summer months, and then in the winter months, so that you know how to modify how much D a person should consume. Most people, if they're around the 30 range or mid 30s, it's not unreasonable for a doctor to suggest 5,000 international units of vitamin D3 with K in the formulation. That's where most people start out at. Some are even higher at 10,000. When you hear of people taking like 50,000 or 100,000 international units, usually that's an injectable form of D2, which has to be converted into D3. I just like taking D3 with K and watch the numbers go up. When you can get it somewhere between that 55 and 60, you're good. If it's too low, there are going to be problems. And if it's too high, there's going to be problems. If it's too low, we typically see autoimmunity. And if it's excessively high, also seen with autoimmunity.